Chapter 7. Echoes in the Garden. The morning sun filtered weakly through the kitchen window, casting long shadows across the floor. Decima stood barefoot by the sink, cradling her coffee as she stared out into the garden. Something was different. She couldn't explain it, but the air had changed. It felt thicker, like it held something just beyond sight. The book she'd found lay open on the kitchen table, its pages fluttering gently as though moved by an invisible hand. She hadn't slept, not really. She'd spent hours poring through the pages, some in English, others in strange languages that seemed to shift as she tried to read them. Some pages she couldn't read at all until the moonlight touched them. Every time she thought she understood something, the words would blur and twist, only to reform into an ancient, undecipherable script. Yet she couldn't stop herself from turning the pages, as if the book were calling to her, urging her to uncover its secrets. The pages that had caught her attention most were those filled with symbols, many of which matched the mark she had seen on the pendant. The symbols seemed to pulse when she stared at them too long, flickering into different shapes as if alive. She had felt something shift within her when she first discovered the book, an almost imperceptible hum vibrating under her skin. Now the more she read, the more that hum grew, a magnetic pull that deepened each time. Her fingers brushed the pages. Her eyes drifted back to the garden. Her garden had always been wild, a little chaotic, but now it felt like it was watching her. The trees seemed taller. The ivy had crept farther up the stone wall overnight. Flowers that hadn't bloomed in years were opening in clusters. The garden wasn't just responding to her magic. It was reacting into her presence, her blood, her energy, her connection, to the magic that was swirling beneath her skin. Something was awakening, but it wasn't just her power. It was out the earth itself, the soil, the trees, the very air around her. Setting her cup down, she stepped outside, the cool morning dew kissing her feet as she walked slowly down the mossy path. Each step felt deliberate, almost as if the earth itself was responding to her presence. Her bare feet sank into the damp ground, and she could feel the pulse of the earth beneath her, steady, grounding. But there was something else, something more beneath it. The faintest tremor, like a heartbeat that didn't belong to her. Her eyes drifted toward the old willow tree at the back of the garden. There was something beneath it, something glowing faintly beneath the roots. She froze, instinctively stepping toward it, her breath caught in her throat, and her heart skipped a beat. The glow was soft, golden, almost pulsing like a heartbeat. It wasn't just light. It was a magicone alive in the earth, seeping from the roots of the tree, rising up to meet her. It was the same feeling she'd felt in the woods, that undeniable magnetic pull. She approached cautiously, heart pounding in her chest, unsure whether she should touch it or turn away. When she reached out to touch it, the light flickered, and then vanished. Her hand hovered just above the ground, fingers trembling as the warm energy that had been there moments ago disappeared. She froze, her eyes widening. Had it been real, or had she imagined it? A soft rustling came from behind her. Her heart leaped in her chest. But when she turned sharply, there was nothing there. The garden was still, the trees swaying gently in the breeze, the flowers standing tall and untouched. But she wasn't alone. She could have felt it. A presence, something intangible and ancient. Her pulse quickened, and she took another step toward the spot where the light had been. She opened her mouth to call out, to demand answers, but before she could speak, the words left her lips in a near whisper. "Show yourself." Her voice felt stronger than she thought it would be. The words carried, cutting through the air like a command. But there was a strange sense of power behind them, a force that surged from within her, as if the very air around her was listening, waiting. The wind stilled. The world seemed to fall silent for a heartbeat. And then, just like that, a figure stepped out from behind the willow tree. At first, Decima thought it might be Daniel. But no. This figure was different. Not a man, but a woman more. She was tall, cloaked in deep green, her silver hair flowing in the breeze like moonlight caught in a web of shadows. Her eyes were the color of stormy skies, intense and piercing, but there was something soft in them too. Something ancient, wise, and knowing. The woman didn't speak. She didn't move. She only watched Decima, her presence commanding and unshakable. Decima didn't move either, though she felt an instinct to step back. The presence before her was not threatening, but it was powerful, unmistakably otherworldly. The woman tilted her head slightly, observing her with those stormy eyes, and then she reached into her cloak, pulling out a small pendant, a silver disc, etched with the same symbol that had appeared in the book Decima had been reading. It was identical, the same shape, the same swirling design. She had seen it before, but where? Without a word, the woman dropped the pendant at Decima's feet. Then, as quickly as she had appeared, the woman vanished, disappearing like mist in the morning sun. Decima stood frozen for a moment, staring at the spot where the woman had been. Her chest was tight, her thoughts scattered. What just happened? Who was that woman? What was she trying to tell her? Slowly, she bent down and picked up the pendant. It was warm in her hand, surprisingly so, as if it had been waiting for her touch, and it felt familiar, though she couldn't place why. It wasn't just the symbol. It was the art energy, the pull it had on her, the way it resonated with the magic inside her. She turned it over in her hands, feeling the edges, tracing the design with her fingers, and for a moment she thought she could hear it. A faint hum, almost imperceptible, but there. It was like the pendant was calling Morris to her, calling to something deep within her. As the hum faded, she stood and looked toward the trees beyond her garden. The same trees that led to the hidden path, to the archway, to Daniel. And she knew. Things were moving now. Pieces were falling into place. The garden wasn't just reacting to her magic. It was awakening one with her to